Hello everyone, I am Tatiana and welcome to Infinite Gist. There is a silence at the bottom of the world, a silence so vast it feels alive. Antarctica, a land of ice and illusion, the last frontier where the world ends not in chaos but in stillness. No trees, no cities, no sound, only the wind carving eternity across a continent of frozen secrets. For over a century, this place has drawn explorers, scientists, and dreamers, those who sought no riches but revelation. Yet, for some, Antarctica became a labyrinth of death. Men vanished, aircraft disappeared. Entire expeditions were swallowed by the snow, leaving behind nothing but whispers and questions. Today, we journey into the heart of those mysteries, to retrace the path of the lost, to understand who drove them, and to uncover what might have truly happened to this continent of ghosts. This is not just the story of Antarctica. It's the story of humanity and the price we pay when we chase the unknown. The age of Antarctic exploration began with obsession. In the late 19th century, the white continent was the final blank space on the map, a place so remote it might as well have been another planet. To reach it was so defy the limits of human endurance, and those who did often never returned. In 1910, British explorer Robert Falcon Scott set sail aboard the Terra Nova, determined to be the first to reach the South Pole. He and his men battled temperatures below 40 degrees centigrade, blizzards that erased all direction and hunger that gnawed at their sanity. They reached the pole of January the 17th, 1912, only to find the Norwegian flag already there. Roald Amundsen had beaten them by just 34 days. Defeated, exhausted, Scott's team turned back. They never made it. One by one, they froze to death on the return march. When rescuers found their bodies months later, they discovered Scott's diary, the final words of a man staring into eternity. "We took risks. We knew we took them," he wrote. "But things have come out against us. We have no cause for complaint, but bow to the will of Providence." His tent became his tomb, now buried beneath the ice, and Scott's story was the first of many. Antarctica had claimed her own, and she wasn't done yet. Before Scott's tragic march, another expedition had already felt the grip of the white abyss. In 1897, a Belgian ship, the Belgica, set sail under Admiral Gerlache, carrying a crew of scientists, including a young Norwegian named Roald Amundsen. They were supposed to check the coastline and return before winter, but fate had other plans. Their ship became trapped in the ice, unable to move, surrounded by an endless frozen prison. They were the first humans to experience an Antarctic winter, and the first to feel the madness it brings, weeks of darkness. No sunrise, no warmth, no color. Men began to lose their minds. The ship's doctor, Frederick Cook, late wrote, "The night has 1,000 eyes, and all of them are frozen." One sailor went insane and tried to walk into the ice. Others fell ill from scurvy. Only through desperate hunting and sheer will did the survivors make it back. The Belgica expedition didn't vanish, but it revealed something deeper. That Antarctica doesn't need to kill you with storms. It can break you with silence. Fast forward to the Cold War. But now Antarctica had become more than a wilderness. It was a strategic mystery. Nations raced to claim territory, to build research bases, and to uncover what lay beneath the ice. In November 1946, the United States launched Operation Highjump, the largest Antarctic expedition ever attempted. Led by Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd, it involved 13 ships, 4,700 men, and dozens of aircraft. Officially, it was a mission of exploration. Unofficially, rumors claim otherwise. Within weeks, planes began to vanish. Once a PBM marine flying boat disappeared without a trace. The search found only old slicks on the ocean surface. Admiral Byrd's logs described unexplained aircraft losses and extreme magnetic disturbances. When he returned, he made a cryptic statement. The greatest threat to mankind comes from the South Pole. Historians say Byrd was warning of the Cold War, not something hidden beneath the ice. But in the decades that followed, legends grew. Stories of hidden bases, magnetic anomalies, and vanishings that defied reasons. Was it Cold War secrecy, or did Antarctica guard something more ancient, more inexplicable? Even today, the U.S. Navy's lost aircraft from Highjump remain buried somewhere in the southern seas. Their fate unknown. In the 1950s and 60s, as nations signed the Antarctic Treaty, forbidding military activity, the Soviets established remote bases deep in the interior, including the eerie Vostok Station, built on one of the coldest places on Earth. Temperatures there could drop below 89 degrees centigrade, the lowest ever recorded. It was isolation in its purest form. And then people began to disappear. Unofficially, whispers among researchers told of missing scientists, individuals who wandered from base during storms and were never seen again. In 1959, a three-man Soviet sled team vanished en route between Mirny and Vostok stations. Search parties found only the abandoned sleds and fan tracks that ended abruptly, as if erased by the wind. Their story was overshadowed by another Soviet mystery of the same era, the Dyatlov Pass incident in the Urals Mountains. But some Russian researchers saw parallels. Unexplained injuries and sudden panic, the feeling of something seen but unseen in the snow. Vostok Station will later gain infamy for another mystery. The discovery of Lake Vostok, a vast glacial lake, sealed beneath more than 2 miles of ice, isolated for millions of years. Some believe the station's strange history, including all disappearances and sudden shutdowns, were connected to what scientists may have found there. Bacteria, possibly new life, or perhaps something they couldn't explain. Officially, every loss was blamed on weather, fatigue, or simple misfortune. Unofficially, Antarctica's silence grew heavier. You might think that in our modern era with the satellites, GPS, and advanced communication, people no longer vanish in Antarctica, but the ice still takes its toll. In 1962, a New Zealand research plane vanished on approach to McMurdo Sound, never found. In 1979, a New Zealand flight 901, a sightseeing flight carrying 257 passengers, crashed into Mountain Erebus. Every soul aboard was lost. Investigators determined it was pilot error. The navigation coordinates had been entered incorrectly, guiding the plane straight into the mountain in whiteout conditions. But some survivors of the rescue operation spoke of eerie details. The wreckage seemed undisturbed by wind, and the air unusually still, as if Antarctica itself had passed in morning. Then, in 2002, another disappearance. British scientist Rodney Max, working at the Amundsen South Pole Station, suddenly fell ill and died. And autopsy results delayed for months revealed methanol poisoning. Whether accident or play or something stranger remains unknown. His death, the first ever homicide investigation in Antarctica, remains unsolved. Even in the age of technology, Antarctica remains a realm where logic falters, where vanishings are not relics of the past, but recurrent echoes. Why do so many vanish in a land so closely watched? Part of the answer lies in the continent itself. Antarctica is not static, it moves. Its glaciers flow like rivers, swallowing everything in their path. A tent, a plane, even an entire station can vanish beneath the ice, never to be seen again. The wind scares away tracks within minutes. A person lost in a storm has less than an hour before disorientation sets in. There are no landmarks, no sense of direction, only endless white. But perhaps there is also something deeper, a psychological pull. Antarctica is a mirror of the human soul. It magnifies isolation, obsession, and awe. The men who come here often speak of feeling watched, not by others, but by the land itself, as if the ice remembers every step ever taken upon it. In 2016, satellite scans reveal the strange geometric formations deep beneath the Antarctic ice sheet. To scientists, they were likely natural subglacial mountains, yet their patterns looked eerily artificial. Around the same time, a radar picked up a massive gravitational anomaly beneath Wilkes Land, the size of a small country. Some proposed it was the remnant of a massive asteroid impact. Others speculated otherwise. Whichever is true, these discoveries added a new layer to the legend that something vast and ancient sleeps beneath the ice, and that those who disappeared may have stumbled upon something they weren't meant to find. Officially, no expedition has ever confirmed such claims, but unofficially, Antarctic researchers speak of forbidden zones, regions where compasses fail, machinery dies, and communication cuts out. Is it mere magnetism? Or is the Earth keeping some truths buried deep beneath its frozen skin? Every disappearance leaves traces, journals, letters, radio logs, fragments of human thought before the silence. From Scott's final words in 1912 to Byrd's coded transmissions in 1947, a pattern emerges. Isolation brings revelation. One of Byrd's secret diary entries, later published posthumously, claimed he flew beyond the pole and saw grew valleys and lakes. Historians dismiss it as myth, a fabrication or metaphor, but others saw it as the confession of a man who glimpsed something extraordinary and never could explain it. Then there are the final transmissions from modern-day researchers, GPS signals cutting out mid-sentence, emergency beacons that activate then stop, search teams finding gear perfectly arranged as if left behind deliberately. Each case ends the same way, with silence, as if the ice accepts only those who surrender it completely. Beneath the myth and mystery, science offers its own explanations. Extreme weather, hidden crevices, hundreds of feet deep, carbon dioxide pockets that suffocate instantly, magnetic storms that disrupt instruments, and the sheer mental toll of endless isolation. For every legend, there is logic, but logic doesn't erase the human cost. Each lost explorer carried a singular spark, a defiance of nature itself. They knew the risks, they went away. Antarctica has no mercy, yet it has allure, because in its emptiness lies purity. No politics, no noise, only truth. And so, despite the disappearances, the expeditions continue. Scientists drill ice cores that recall the history of the planet. Astronomers gaze into space from its frozen plateau. And every year, a few new names are added to the roll of those who never came back. What drives a person to risk everything for a place that offers nothing? Perhaps it's the same force that drew the first sailors across unknown oceans, that pushed astronauts toward the moon, that makes us climb the next mountain simply because it's there. Antarctica is not just a continent, it's a question, a mirror reflecting our need to understand what lies beyond. For every life lost there is a legacy of discovery, of courage written in frost and silence. The explorers who vanished didn't fail, they became part of the continent itself, frozen in time, guarding its mysteries. And maybe that the truth behind every disappearance, not tragedy, but transformation. In seeking to conquer the unknown, we become part of it. Antarctica doesn't forgive, it doesn't explain, it only waits. Beneath miles of ice lie the remains of lost camps, buried plans, forgotten dreams, and perhaps answers humanity was never meant to find. But still we go, because within the cold silence, we find something more enduring than mystery. We find ourselves. Antarctica is not the end of the world. It's reflection, pure, merciless, and eternal. And as long as there are those willing to step into the wide void, the spirit of exploration and of the lost will never disappear.